on, everybody? How you doing? This is Isaac, the Millennial Hope Dealer Grace, and we are live for our Millennial Takeover right here. I have this strong young brother with me right here. This is brother Quinton Cummings right here. And Quinton is a millennial right here, crushing it. He's in the ministry industry, teaching, young college students all about, the ministry, the gospel. And I was building with him before this interview. I'm super excited for you all to hear, Quinton's story and really get his understanding of what he's doing on a day in and day out basis as a millennial, providing that game and that inspiration to our community. So Quinton, we'll get started. Just tell our viewers, let's start off with a little bit more about you first personally.
Yep. So I am from around Augusta, Georgia. Very small. It's about the size of this little thing right here. Very small. Come from single parent background. Didn't know my father. Grew up that way. Poverty, different areas like that.
Gotcha.
And got into college, man, and started noticing that I wanted more out of life because I saw what was there, and I saw when I go home, my classmates, they still chilling, still vibing. And that ain't what I want to do.
Right.
And so that's just really how my journey started. And I just knew that really more was out there because I was exposed to different things. Coming to Atlanta, going to California, different things like that.
That travel.
And, travel, watching people being exposed. And I'm like, okay, I want that life, but even better and greater to impact and help other people.
Gotcha. Beautiful. So I heard you speak about, being young and growing up like in a single household. And like myself, I come from that as well. My father was incarcerated a lot bringing up, and I watched my mother raise us, and she was married, so I did have a stepfather that, was in our lives at times, but, really didn't play like that fatherhood role to teach the principles that a father's supposed to teach. So, as you've got a little bit older and kind of became an adult, like, what would you say was maybe what do you think you may have lacked that if you had your father there, that kind of could have made your journey a lot easier? Like, what are some things you think you lacked by not having a father in your household?
Discipline, because a father this is what you got to do, this is what time we got to do it, this is what you need, and so discipline. So really being young, just wanting flashy things, getting it now and trying to rush for it now and moving with it now, moving quick and moving fast without knowing facts, without knowing what the return of investment would be for me personally, not knowing how it may can influence and help other people. And so I would say discipline, even relationally, like not even knowing in that area like what to do and how to talk and how to vibe. And so just learning rejection in different areas like that. So really the self-worth, I think all that kind of ties into that. Really self-worth of who you are. And a mom can influence, she can help, but I just think a father, just a certain strong black manhood excellence that he can teach you that your mom can't.
And I think that's so powerful when you mention about like love life and relationships, right? Because me personally, I had my first child before I was 21 years old. I have 2 kids right now, and they're with 2 different mothers, and I'm not with either one of them. So it's like when you say that truly touches me as well, because imagine if our fathers was the ones to say, listen, son, I know you get emotions, you got hormones, but that don't mean that's not love, right? And as young men, a lot of times we mix them emotions, right? We think that the sex life is love, and you find out very quick, at least myself anyway, finding out, that, you start to realize that maybe this is not the person that maybe I would actually marry. And what happens is we become to make that pattern, right? And we want to have less fatherless households, So I think that was really important. I know you mentioned about discipline. That discipline is so important because as a kid, what dad says goes, right? And if dad is leading properly and giving us that right guidance, it will certainly help us as we do get older. Like you said, with that delayed gratification, understanding women and rejection, and knowing how to treat women, knowing how to take the garbage out. The little things, right? It's the little things that are basic, like, manhood principles. So that was something that was really, really big that you mentioned. But on the flip side, I know you did mention about you went off to college. Like, tell us about that. Like, what college did you go to? What did you major in? Talk to us about like what were your expectations going into college, and then like kind of a little bit like reality once you was there.
So I remember my mom and my brother dropped me off at South Georgia State in Douglas, Georgia, very small town, rural area, and I thought it's gonna be dope day one, and I'm like, what do I do? I didn't know what to do. I never been by myself. I'm like, how am I gonna pay for food tomorrow? Like, how does that vibe work? And so I remember sitting in my room and I'm like, okay, I got to figure out how to make this on by myself. How do I do it by myself? And so I knew that I wanted to really be known on campus, not just for, people knowing me, but I just want to always leave an impact wherever I go. Like when I leave, I want you to remember me there. And so got involved, ran for student body president, did that, won that, and was able to lead the campus globally in different areas of that, and just really helping them. Even like it's interesting how everything comes back full circle, because what I'm doing now, I was able to influence while I was there.
Right.
And did 2 years there, then went to, it's an interesting journey, went to Kennesaw State. And so that school was only like 1,500, 2,000 students.
Okay.
Kennesaw State's 30,000.
Wow.
So went there. Did not like it. Too many people that was there. I'm like, man, I gotta go. Went to Savannah State, HBCU, and was there for like a semester, and it wasn't really what I liked. And so then I went to University of West Georgia. Friends was there, and that's where everything kind of leaped. And the reality of it was, I had to be a man.
Right, yeah.
I had to grow up and be a man real quick, because mom still calling, what you doing? And I'm like, I got a shorty over, like, what you mean what I'm doing? Like, don't call me today.
Right.
But then it's like I still needed that guidance, going back to the fatherhood thing.
Yeah.
Like, if I would have had that, I would have known how to navigate
do that
in different areas, and then just learning about what it means to be a strong black man if I'm around 12 white counterparts, which happened a lot. If I'm speaking for the campus on the state level, it was many times where I was the only black person in the room.
Wow.
And you have to decipher between, oh wow, I'm impressed by you. Well, are you impressed because it's that the mythology that you have of me, or are you impressed because of really
my message?
Right, my message.
Right.
And so I always showed up. I always had to show up. That's one thing that my mom taught me. Always show up. Gotta show up and make sure that you do it right. And so that reality hit, that I can be the only one in the room that's different, but still can make myself, with influence and impact, and really make myself stick out in that way.
And that's beautiful. That's beautiful, because like you said, you mentioned like running for student body and winning that as a young black man. I'm sure your candidates or your opponents weren't your skin color
at all.
I would almost assume that, and that's so big. And that's something that us as young black millennials, men or women, have to understand, is how to stay composed in a room when you aren't the majority.
Right.
And I tell my story all the time as an entrepreneur. I went out to a conference. I went out to a Find and Flip Summit. And in this conference, it was a 3-day event, and there was it was all types of levels. It was a couple young, but it was like middle class, and even people that were retired, all Caucasian American, corporate America, successful people that had the money but did not have the time and the lifestyle they wanted, right? So I'm this young black man from New Jersey, all the way in San Diego, and I had told myself that this is when I was the rebirth. Like this was when I was changing the narrative of who I was. It was back in 2016. I was still trying to figure out my way in entrepreneurship. And I went out to this event, and they had like a contest, right? And the contest was who can like shine the brightest, who can network the most. And they had this little app, and you had to kind of engage through the app, take pictures with attendees. You go up and you talk about quotes and all this different cool stuff, right? So on the third day, the first day was about 500 people at this event. By the third day, it was about, I would say, maybe 150 people there, right? And literally, out of 150 people, out of 500 people, I was chosen as the outstanding participant of the event. So the mentor of it, the guy named was Kent Clothier. He's a really big-time real estate investing guy. He's one of the owners of Memphis Invest, which is one of the biggest real estate turnkey investing companies in the United States. And he called me up to the front of the room, and what he said to me was, he said, "Listen, Isaac, I've been watching this entire weekend. And you've been playing full out. Like I've been watching, you've been going to the biggest of the biggest guys. You've been doing interviews. You got that selfie stick. Like I've been seeing you moving around. Like I don't know you, but from what I see right now, like you're going places. Anyone that is around you should stick around you because you're going places." And what that did for me was, it almost proved my theory as a young child. Like I always felt like I would be great, right? And I'm sure you probably had that feeling at a young age, even though you didn't know what greatness was going to be.
You knew it was coming.
You just knew that you would be great, right? And I was a high school dropout, so football, all the typical American young black man dreams. I was not a rapper. Football, sports was out of the picture. So when I went out there to that event and I heard millionaires speak, a lot of them that entire event, and to get that co-sign from a multi-millionaire, it was kind of just like, I knew it. I knew I could be great. I just proved to myself this weekend where I said I was rebranding myself, that if I lock in and I played full out, I used to run the streets at that time. I was still living a mixed life. But going out there, I wanted to prove to myself that I can leave that back at home and go be great, son. And getting that reward was, it was like no other, because there was young white brothers in there, older white brothers in there that was competing. Like, they wanted to win that. Just as bad as I wanted to win, they wanted to win that as well. And to get that, to win it, I'm sure even with you, like, winning over the school, it's just like,
it's like, wow.
It's a mental note. It's a little pep talk with God to say, I see what you're doing.
There's nothing I can't do at this
There's
point.
nothing that I can't do at that point there. So that's amazing for you right there. So, so I know you went through your college journey. And I know we were speaking a little bit before this interview, and you mentioned to me that now you're like a youth pastor.
Yeah.
So talk to us about how that came about. Like, how'd you get into that?
So that's interesting. I was in college, and so I grew up in church, and I hated it. I didn't want to do it. I'm like, this is too much. I can't keep the rules. I don't want to be in church all day. I don't have time. And so got in college, and I just wasn't vibing with it. And my sister actually was supposed to minister at a church, and she couldn't go, and they called me. So I'm like, I'll go speak, whatever. Talk about purpose, whatever. So we did that, and people just started booking me out of nowhere. And I stopped. I said, wait, because that's an assignment, not more so of something I like to do.
Right.
And you got to know the difference between the two. So I'm like, okay, I need to figure this out. And so I stopped it for a year, and then I opened up my own ministry. We did nonprofits in Atlanta and rural areas where I'm from. And we just started ministering to people. However, it was popular at the time, but it wasn't the right season for me to be doing that. Yeah. And so I always try to teach my mentees that, just because you're getting success from a thing doesn't mean that that's the right thing to do in that moment, in that time, in that season.
Wow, that's beautiful.
And so I stopped that, and I just went on a journey for a year, just really redefining who I was, rebirthing, like we were talking, like really understanding that part. And so end up just starting a college ministry. So I worked at this student housing apartments in Carrollton, Georgia, and students out of nowhere, man, was just coming up, you should start a Bible study, I'm like, cool. So we did it one time. It was only supposed to be one time. Only 70 students showed up. I'm like, okay.
Only,
yeah. I was like,
only
70 students showed up. I was like, wow, this is crazy. But it was only supposed to be one time. I wasn't gonna do it again. Ended up going to Tulsa for a conference. Came back. They was like,
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Okay, Tulsa,
so I went
Oklahoma.
Mike Todd. I don't know if you heard of him.
No, I haven't.
He's a amazing man, amazing guy, just a powerful person. And so I went to hear him, and I really got empowered. Still wasn't going to do anything when I came back. They was like, let's start it again. So we started. Then 100 students showed up. I'm like, okay, this is becoming a thing. And so we made it a thing, just kept doing that, kept vibing, kept getting everybody involved, and really just doing things that goes against what church is known for. Yeah. So we'll play a Cardi B lyric behind one of my messages, or we'll play Roddy Ricch, just adding something different, because I always understood that, aesthetics attract, the other part will keep. And so that's how we began to do that. And so my pastor, he watched me, found me, and we just started working with the church, Oasis Church. It's a church and in Atlanta, and we started working with them and taking over the youth. And now it is crazy. Like, we launched Tuesday, over 110 students showed up. Wow. And so now it's just really, the journey of it is fun. And what I'm trying to really build with them is understanding that you can be who you are, you can live your life, and you can still have that connection with God on your level and based on what you want to do. It's not about the rules, it's about your relationship. And so we live by 3 things: be real, be righteous, and be relevant. And if we believe we do those 3 things, if you be real with you, whether it goes against the principle of not, if you be real with yourself, that's when you can work out things if it needs to be changed for you. When you be righteous, have that connection. And it's not about, I'm about to pray 50 hours today. I may have to get it in on the way to work while I'm hustling. You have to get it in. And when you be relevant, understanding that the culture is moving every day. We don't shift to, cultures change every 2 seconds. We have a consistent vision, consistent goal, but bringing the culture to them in a way that says, again, you can be who you are, love who you love, do your thing, and vibe it out that way.
That's so beautiful, man. And I think that's so important. And like, I believe it, in our stories are very aligned, because I didn't grow up in a church atmosphere, but my grandmother, rest in peace, her soul, she was a church woman, and that was my father's mom, and my father was incarcerated. So my grandma was the one that kept me tied into my father's side of the family, me and my older brother. Now, my older brother had the better relationship, not the better relationship with my grandmother, but he was okay with church. Yeah. I was the knucklehead grandson. I was like, I ain't coming over your house, grandma, because I know Sunday we gotta go to church.
Some oil on me.
Right? Like, I'm gonna just stay home because, like, I want to go hang out. I know you're gonna take us to the park and do all that fun stuff, but that church on Sunday,
I ain't doing it.
I don't want to do that, right? So I was that guy at that time. And one of my biggest things about church is I was young, so I think it was more like just not understanding it. But as I got older, I will admit I was very rebellious to church and religion. Just because when I was young, it wasn't properly explained to me.
That's right. Yeah.
But how you just broke down your version of, your ministry that you run that would have been ideal for someone like me, because it, like you said, it doesn't force you to change you. It forces you to level up, what it sounds like to me. And I think that's something so important that we need to implement into our millennials out here, because there's a lot of young brothers and sisters out here that, they don't want to go the bad route, but they just don't have any spiritual alignment or spiritual connection to give them that spark, right? Because it starts with a spark, like the motivation, the why, all of that stuff. And speaking about the why, goes into my next part. You mentioned about this ministry, like you did it one time, that was it. You was cool, right? You did it again, more people came out, you still wasn't sold. You actually went out to Tulsa, Oklahoma, heard somebody speaking, you still wasn't 100% convinced about it, right? So I think what the viewers need to take away from this is that what was that turning point, or really what I would say, what was that why factor, like that why that made you say, you know what, now it's time to make this my new normal? So like, what was that why that made this reality?
Me knowing that my purpose have to submit to the assignment of God on my life. Yeah. My personal desire. And a lot of times, a lot of things I don't want to do. Yeah. But I have to, because it's greater than me. The way I live, I tell myself when I walk out the door, it's no longer about me anymore. It's about the people that I'm called to, the people that I'm going to reach. If I do something right now, it can affect thousands of people. Yeah. And so I've learned that at the end of the day, the turning point for me was knowing that these students, obviously they want it. Yeah. Obviously they need something different. And if I can change 50 narratives, which in essence is changing thousands, because how they live will affect their generation. Beautiful. And so really I'm reaching them, but I'm really reaching their grandchild. I'm really reaching their great-grandchild. And so I've learned that, even with my youth, because a lot of, young people ask me like, bro, you could be doing all this type of stuff. Why you choose this God thing? I'm like, bro, I live my best life because I have an understanding. And so if I can get 10 people to understand that, they're going to tell 10. They're going to tell 10. And so that was really the turning point for me, knowing that, my personal desire have to submit to the purpose and the plan of God for my life. Because at the end of the day, whether we quantify it or not, it's going to be his plan over what he wants, what we want to do. Yeah. Because you can look at me like, nah, bro, like I don't want to wake up at 5. But I know it's not about me. Yeah. And so that was the turning point for me.
Responsibility.
Yeah, it's responsibility. And it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot. Because, it is. College students, they see you as perfect. And I let them know day one, I'm not perfect. Right. I may say something, and I'm the preacher, but I may say something. Right. But I just let them know, man, you can vibe the same way you are. And I really put a message on it. It upsets people when I say it. I'm like, listen, if you just finished smoking, just finished drinking, if you high right now, pull up. Right. Come to the front row. Yeah. Because I want you to know you don't have to change nothing before God accepts you. Yeah. My grandmother taught me before, she was saying like, if you go fishing, you can't clean the fish before you first catch it. So you have to catch it
first.
And then, I tell them, my job is not, I don't want to get people to Christ the first day they come to us.
Beautiful.
If I love you,
right,
and love you right where you are, that's your decision to make with God. I'm going to teach the word, I'm going to teach it relevant, teach it in that way, and that's just the way we vibe. And so that was a turning point for me. And now, I told my team the other day, it's no turning back at this point. At this point, everything that we wanted to do have to submit to how we can push people to their purpose.
Right. And I think that is so beautiful, and that was very, very well articulated and well put, that anybody can understand that. But what I think the message that I got away from that for our viewers and the millennials out there is that a lot of times we get in our own minds to believe that success and entrepreneurship and doing the right things, it's a certain look, right? And I felt, and I had that early on, right? And meeting Jay as a 3-time felon turned real estate mogul inspired me. Jay Morrison, my mentor, it inspired me because it was a person with in a sense, a dirty background, right? Yeah. So it made me at the time say, okay, well, I'm not a felon, but that's the course that I'm on. Because I was running the streets, I was hustling. But if this guy right here was a felon and is successful, that's what inspired me, right? And then as I began to meet more entrepreneurs, and I started realizing that these people aren't living like perfect lives. Yeah. Like this person, they saying curse words. I thought I had to stop cursing. I thought I had to, I can't drink, I can't party, I can't, I thought I had to really change everything, right? I had that perception of what I thought success was. Yeah. But then when I was able to actually manifest and realize that, no, I do still have the control of my life and my destiny.
Yes, sir.
Again, there's going to be responsibilities and things I'm certainly going to have to change, but I do not have to lose me while going on this journey. And I think that that's one of the biggest things for young black men, certainly, as well as young black ladies as well, because we want to keep our cool. We want to keep our freshness, our swag. We want diamond chains, but we need to understand that we need to do it responsibly, right? Like, we got to do it responsibly. And that was one big takeaway that I got early in my career. Actually, when I actually met Jay in person, on my 22nd birthday, I came out to a conference out here in Atlanta, and long story short, Jay and the team took me out after me hustling at that event, going out there shining bright, letting them know who I am, and they took me out, right? And we all went out, we had a good time, and even just to see my mentor in the club, right? It was like, wow, like, I didn't know that,
that
somebody
exists.
Right? I didn't know that was even real. So like, I'm vibing, champagne, they bought me bottles, and it was just like, those was the small moments that kept me ticking. Like, okay, I don't gotta be that type of person. I don't gotta change everything. I can still to get there, right? So I think that your message is going to continue to put millennials on notice that, it's not a life transformation. It's certainly on a journey of it, but come as you are. It
may not happen that specific moment.
Come as you are, and come for better, right? So I think that's very, very good. So, I mean, at this point where you are now, I know you guys just launched. You said this week you guys launched, or last week you guys launched. Had a great outcome. So, I mean, talk to me about like what's next. Like, what are your goals behind this? How can the viewers find you? How can they get involved with this if they're interested?
So what's next for us is to continue to take this thing globally. I want to reach a lot of students, and even go into high schools and really reach rappers and basketball players, because they may not have that. And I want them to know too, it's not a certain look you have to have, because a lot of people don't connect with God because they've done something. And that's the best way to connect. And so that's really what's up for us, is continue to intertwine culture and faith together and try to drive it that way. And so they can connect. My Instagram is @Quinton Cummings, and we vibe, and all my information is there. And I'm always putting information out and different things out, and I'm trying to now speak on a place of culture, and more so not saying God a lot, because not that I'm ashamed, because I love God. However, at the end of the day, if I have to say God in every message I do, God is, it's not really in me. I'm speaking it trying to make you believe it, but if I live my life in that way, I think it can reach more people, and it's been doing it, and that's how we've been reaching our students. And I tell you, man, I get students all the time who say they was going to commit suicide. They were going to, leave their family because their family don't believe in what they're doing, and because of the impact we're making on their life. And it's because of the team that we have too. It's not only me, it's because of the team that we have. And the impact we're making is really shifting their life, changing their life, allowing them to stay in school, allowing them to know, like, listen, if I want to go be a rapper, I can do that and still have my alignment with God, because everybody won't be used in the local church. Some people are going to be rappers and entertainers, and I believe that's where we need more faith in right now, so they can kind of connect in that way.
Connect that, no, and I think that that's so true. And you're speaking just volume, levels, energy. And that was one of the reasons coming down here in Atlanta was about like linking up with millennials, like powerful young brothers out here, man, young sisters as well. But like, your story is amazing. You're in your own lane. You didn't try to go out there and just, everybody doing real estate, let me go do real estate. Everybody trying to do credit, let me go do credit, right? Everybody want to be like, you found something that God truly had for you, right? And he had to knock you on your head a couple times to realize,
get it right.
But at the same time, you didn't go against what God had in stores for you. And I think that that's something that we all as millennials really got to understand, is that you have to have some level of faith, right? And he mentioned it's not always just about a religion, but it's about you having your personal message with God and utilizing that message to be more in tune. And I was telling you my story of like how I had my, beating cancer, and when the first time I heard God really speak with me, to having financial hardships and worrying, and then I told you how I found, the rent money in my coat pocket, and that really reassured me and put me on notice that it's just really all about just having that faith. Like we're always trying to control every moment. We're trying to make sure that we did what we need to do to guarantee success. But a lot of times on this journey, man, it's a spiritual thing. It's a universal thing. But once it clicks, you begin to get on this natural high that no one can take you off of, and it is a journey, it's a ride that it's so worth riding. So millennials, you guys got it. This is my brother right here, Quinton Cummings. I appreciate that. You, one last thing, I see you have a tattoo on your arm. I was watching a few times. I didn't see one here.
I got two.
Okay, I see this one. It says "Give Up" and it's crossed out. Talk to me about that tattoo.
So that's "Don't give up."
Okay.
I have no choice. I can never give up in life. Never give up on anything. I don't care how big it is, how tough it is. I can never give up.
Beautiful.
It's like a part of my life. I can't give up. So if I start it, I got to do it.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Never give up. So any last words for our viewers? This is the Millennial Takeover right here. This is your host right here, the Millennial Hope Dealer, Isaac Grace. Got my brother Quinton Cummings with me. He just came in here, crushed it. He is a...
Man,
I don't even know, man. He's a very influential brother here, powerful. He's in the ministry world and really trying to change the narrative of it. And I've been speaking about, this is something that's very important, and to meet you, to finally meet you in person, link up with you, and hear your story is really inspiring me. And this goes back to a little bit of my purpose coming down here to Atlanta, Georgia, from a small town in New Jersey, is to find more inspiring brothers that is on the same path as me. So drop them with some last gospel, some last jewels before we get up out of here, and we appreciate you being on today's show.
Well, man, thank you so much. I've been watching you. It's an honor to really be here. And I would just say, really focus on the plan and purpose of God for you and what you need to do. And even me being here is a testament to that. Is I'm focused on what I'm supposed to do. And when I get focused, the alignment comes properly. And so just be you. Be everything that you've been called to be. Separate from what you got to separate from. And sometimes that's comfortability. You have to get uncomfortable to reach the next season, the next dimension. I don't want to go to levels. I want to go to new dimensions, reach new heights. And I believe that if we can do that, you can connect with wonderful, great, successful entrepreneurs, black king, such as yourself. Brother. You can continue to do that, and that can happen for you. And so we just be real, we be righteous, and we be relevant.
Hey guys, you heard it. Millennial Takeover. We want to thank you for checking out this show. Check us out again soon on another episode, and we're out of here.